Hi everyone, welcome to my home. We're obviously filming this in a little bit of a different place. But in this video, what we're going to be focusing on now is evangelism. Now, obviously a lot could be said here about evangelism. In fact, we're planning on teaching a class this coming year, an adult education on evangelism, which we encourage you to come to. But in this video, what we're going to be focusing on really is what should you be doing as a leader to encourage evangelism. And in general, the main point, the main thing we want to be saying to you and encouraging you to do as a leader is that we want you to foster a culture of encouragement and accountability for evangelism. Okay, that basically we want your community group to be a place where the people are being encouraged and held accountable to be sharing their faith, to be essentially bearing witness to Jesus Christ. So encouragement, because we need to be doing this. Okay, basically everyone thinks this is true. I've not talked to too many people at all at Holy Trinity who don't think we should be evangelizing. So we want to be encouraging to bear witness to Jesus Christ, to make disciples of all nations. But accountability, because it's hard. I think in general, whenever I talk about evangelism, it almost feels like, hey, here comes a guilt trip. We all think we should be doing it, but it's really difficult, and we feel bad for not doing it. So we actually want the community group to be a place where we can be held accountable to actually bear witness, to be sharing our faith. We want to be doing it. Can the community group be a place where we're held accountable to be sharing our faith? We're really encouraged to do it. Not having a guilt trip, but encouraged and held accountable. And you as a leader, we believe, can help foster a culture to see that happen. So how do you do this, though? And how do you hold these things in balance? Well, we would say that there's basically 4 different rhythms, essentially, that we want you to be committed to as a leader, to really be leading your group, and if you're just committed to for yourself, that we think can help foster this culture of encouragement and accountability for evangelism. The first one, and this is something we've brought up a number of times, but to have a rhythm of prayer meetings. This is really significant, and I know for some of you perhaps this isn't logistically possible, but in general I do think this is basically possible for all of us, to have a separate time outside of the regular community group meetings that you can be getting together with others to be praying. The reason why I think this is really helpful is because what can happen at these prayer meetings is you can have set questions that you always go through. So in Bridgeport, where I live, all the guys get together, or a bunch of the guys get together, not necessarily every single one of us, but a bunch of the guys get together every single week, and there's 3 questions that we ask one another. So, how are you doing in your marriage, or how are you doing with purity? How are you doing in your walk with the Lord? And then the third question is, how are you doing on mission? Whether that's in Bridgeport, whether that is with your your coworkers. How are you doing with sharing your faith, with getting to know other people? And weekly we are asked that question, which is really helpful because on the one hand, if I'm not doing it, if I'm not talking to my neighbors, I'm not trying to share my faith, I can be encouraged to do it, but also I'm held accountable. Every single week I'm asked that question because there's an expectation that I would be doing it. But it's with a bunch of people that love me and care for me and so want to be encourage me and help, but holding me accountable as well. So when we say prayer meetings, where that is a set question. How are you doing on mission? How can I pray for you? Who are the people you're sharing your faith with, or at least trying to share your faith with, or trying to get to know? How can I pray for them? And those things I think will be really helpful. You can have a commitment to a rhythm of prayer meetings. The second thing is celebrate it. Celebrate it and don't be in competition. Okay? There will be people in your groups who will actually be able to do things, or will have connections that will come naturally, or maybe they'll really push for them, and maybe you'll be jealous, or other people will be jealous. But what we should be doing all the time, like we're on the same team. Let's just be celebrating these things, and celebrate not just the big things, but also the small things. Again, a lot of us are further along on this journey of boldness to be sharing our faith, which means that some people will come to and they'll talk about how are they sharing their faith, and they'll say things like, yes, I am. I did this past week. Some people, it's their full-time job. So I'm in Bridgeport, people who it basically is their full-time job, so they can talk about it a lot more. We want to be celebrating those big things when the faith is shared, when people come to know Jesus Christ. But also, if someone in your group is just really scared to do it, really timid, and they invite someone to come to something at church, and the person says no, they might feel like they failed because the person didn't come. But actually what you should do as a leader is celebrate the fact that they went out to try to do that they are taking strides. So celebrate these things so that we can actually grow. That's encouragement. Rather than just feeling guilty that we're failing, let's celebrate even the small things when we can take some steps toward bearing witness to Jesus Christ, and celebrate when we can model it. Okay? Not just when we use words. Obviously we need to use words. The gospel is a message, but also we can do it with our actions. We can do it through our work. We can do it with how we care for one another. Let's celebrate those things as well. So it really is a culture of encouragement that can be leading in that kind of way. Third rhythm we really say, and this rhythm for you, is to model it. You as a leader, we would like to place the expectation upon you and encourage you to be modeling it. Now, that can be hard, and it doesn't always mean that you need to be some amazing evangelist, but are you striving to be doing this yourself? Are you actually being encouraged by others around you? Are you being held accountable to be sharing your faith with other people? And can you show that to other people? So we would say, really, if the leader's not doing it, it's going to be tough for the rest of the group to be getting it done, to actually be sharing their faith, bearing witness to Jesus Christ. So the third thing we'd say, and that can feel like a huge weight on you, but again, we want to say, pray for boldness. Like, be encouraged. You don't feel super guilty. We see, how can I be bearing witness? How can I be a model for my group? If we actually want to see the city transformed, we have to be doing it. And really begins with us leaders sharing our faith in that kind of way. So that's the third thing, is modeling it. And then the fourth one, we're calling challenging/training. And basically what I mean by that is you need to challenge people, and a lot of times you need to challenge them toward training. Again, as I said earlier, there's so much that can be said in this video. Okay, we're trying to keep it short, so we're not going into things like what is evangelism, how do you do it, how do you share the gospel, all those kind of things like that. But there are avenues through which people can learn. So when people have the desire to actually be evangelizing, do they really know how to do it? And if they don't, I think we would like to encourage you as a leader to be challenging them to get trained. So when we have this class this year, tell people to come. Like, it is a great opportunity for them to grow in their ability to share their faith. While you're leading groups, if you can model for them what the gospel is and kind of explaining it, and I say, do you guys know how to explain that to the people? Challenge them to know that, to be able to actually be able to explain the gospel to the people. But then the other thing we'd say with this challenging idea is that we would really encourage you to challenge your group and to challenge yourself that by the end of the year, every single person in your group would have it as a goal that they will read one-to-one with a non-believer, or at least ask someone to, and then follow up if they say yes. So we've been saying earlier that we want you to do one-to-one with one another and kind of facilitate that within your group, and we do want you to do that. But we would love to see if in every single group, every single person in their group had a goal by mid-March. They've either starting or they've been asking a non-believer to read one-to-one with them. Now, we'll be giving you resources on how to do that. How do you read one-to-one? How do you read how to read the Bible with a non-believer? Really lead it through that. We'll give you resources for that. But what if that was a goal that your whole group had that? Okay, that by March of 2018, we are going to actually, each one of us, be reading the Bible with a non-believer. That's the way to really encourage people, but also hold them accountable. Here's a great goal to be shooting towards. That's what we encourage you to do. So those are the four rhythms: prayer meetings, celebrate it and don't be in competition, modeling it and really challenging people to understand how to do it, but also to set a goal that we think would be read the Bible with a non-believer by around mid-March or something like that. That's a good goal that you could have.